So, back at another live, and I already told y'all that I have a lot more I actually need to cover. Right now, I'm just starting the lives as I go because I've been making posts. Like I said in my last live, I made posts and only have a few people seeing it, viewing it, and they may like it or whatever. But I'm just going to have to do what I have to do. I can't be waiting to see if somebody's gonna pay attention to the post, and then that's when I go live. I'm just gonna go live, and as I already said, y'all want to catch the replay, y'all can do that. But I have to keep it moving because I started a live last week about the Venezuela crisis, and a lot of people are kind of misled. I'm just gonna say misled in a way, and I'm just gonna let you know this channel here. I'm just seeing the world for how it is. All right. I'm not really picking any sides, even though if you want to ask me which side am I really like, do I have liberal, conservative? I would say I'm more of a conservative. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not a Republican because I already told y'all I did not vote. There are some things that I disagree with what the Republicans are doing. And I've already said some of those in my videos. But all y'all have to do is just do the research. Most people don't do the research. They have short attention spans because they look at the news, maybe like 30 seconds worth of whatever the news reporter is saying, or maybe a minute, but they can't look at something in its entirety for like a long period of time. And then they just base off with that. They run off with that. They tell somebody else, you heard what the news said about this, that, and the other, instead of doing their own research. These are some of the things that the news is not talking about. Okay, now I responded to some of y'all comments in the last live that I did last week, like it was on Friday, about Trump buying Greenland. Is more to this than what the media is spreading. The way they're spinning this is more than what you actually think it is. Do the research. All right, we're gonna watch a little. It's probably like 14 minutes or something like that. All the superpowers: Russia, China, and the United States. This is all power. I told y'all. This is all about power. Y'all don't understand. Watch my first live, the Venezuela crisis. Please watch it in its entirety. I know it's long, but a lot of people have a short attention span. I can listen to a podcast for a whole hour. I'm not even boasting. Do the research. Stop being mentally lazy and actually look at something in its entirety. You will find out a lot of stuff if you just sit down and just watch something in its entirety. Listen to something in its entirety instead of watching these TikTok short form content. I have TikTok and I know I need to post. I've already said on my channel, I want to do skits. That's what my whole channel, that's the original idea of why, or the reason why I started my channel. Because I want to do skits that has comedy, but also have some truth in it. But right now, I'm doing a lot of this. So I'm kind of straying away from that. And I have a lot of videos, a lot of skit ideas. But this needs to be talked about. I will come back to that. And I don't know, I may have to make another channel along with it, but we'll see. But let me show y'all the video right quick. This is probably like 14 minutes long. Alright. So Superpowers race to the Arctic. Alright, so here it is. It's 3 months ago. Alright. Okay, here's another video too. Alright, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Let's watch this one. This one's about not 14 minutes. This is 9 minutes. Now, if y'all are leaving something in the chat, I'm not able to see it. I'm gonna have to go get up and then go around and check my phone because when I did the live, my first live on this channel, I had it flipped towards me, the screen towards me. But what happens is, y'all see these words right here? They were backwards. So I had to learn. You see what I'm saying? Through trial and error. Told you my setup is small. I don't have much. I'm a small channel. But I gotta do what I have to do. And I wish I had did these lives early on. But you know, it's not too late. It's better now than never. But anyway, I may have to go around and check and see if y'all are leaving anything like in the chat or in the comments. But we're gonna watch this. This is 9 minutes long. Okay? So forgive me, it's not 8 minutes. I mean it's not 14 minutes. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and watch this. Okay? Here we go.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Alright, we got an ad. Hold on. Alright.
Is being challenged.
Hold on. Let me rewind to the beginning. Because like I said, I already watched this video last week. And I put this in my save so that way I could come back to this later.
What happens in the Arctic does not stay in the Arctic.
There are things happening in the Arctic now that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago.
This is the region warming faster than anywhere else on Earth.
Warming faster than anywhere else on Earth. And wasn't they saying that in like Greenland, like the ice is melting and China wants to have like a passageway through the Arctic? And as a matter of fact, before we even watch that video, hold on, let me see if y'all say anything in the chat. Like I said, I may not have that many people watching. No. Alright, so right here. Just a simple question I asked Google last night. I said, does China, well first I searched, does China want Greenland? And then I searched, does Russia want Greenland? So let's go with what I searched first last night, which is, does China want Greenland? Let's see what it says. Yes, China has shown significant interest in Greenland for its vast natural resources. And let me put it up to the screen so y'all can see that I'm not just talking verbiage. Yes, China has shown significant interest in Greenland for its vast natural resources. And we're saying, oh, well, Trump, you know, he wants, you know, it's all about money. Money, 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 money. Okay, well, why don't you keep the same energy? China also wants the resources. All right? Make it make sense. For its vast natural resources, rare earths, minerals, and strategic Arctic location, seeking investment opportunities in mining and infrastructure, but it doesn't explicitly want Greenland in a territorial sense. Okay, so it say it doesn't want it in a territorial sense, but it may lead to that. You never know. Because what if, okay, we're going to search about Russia too. Because 3 superpowers cannot, come on, y'all got to understand, man. The wars is not so much a physical or boots on the ground. Some wars are just psychological. All right? So, okay, rather it aims for economic access and influence through its polar Silk Road, though its presence has faced hurdles from Denmark in the U.S. But see, Denmark is saying no. It's showing that Denmark also is having some kind of, you know, a feeling. They feel a certain way that China wants this. So that's why I'm saying. Now do you see what I'm talking about? Why Trump is making this kind of move, even though Denmark doesn't want him over there anyway. But don't you understand that that's going to be more of a passageway for China? I mean, China has many ways they can get here, but this right here is the reason why. Like I said, I'm still doing my research. Y'all can do your research. Y'all got plenty of articles. Like y'all have the tools in your hands. But what you do is just look at these short form content, and some of this stuff is not even real. Sometimes you have to really fact check everything now, because AI. I've seen a lot. I've seen some videos on TikTok. I said, you know what? Let me do some more research on that. Turns out the video was either a skit or it was AI, and it wasn't real. Plenty of times I said, wait a minute, that story doesn't sound right. I'm like, I know that person didn't do that, but you know, people do crazy things anyway. That's just the world we live in today. But there's some things that you really have to fact check, like for real, for real. It's crazy. All right, so why China, it goes on to say why China is interested in Greenland. Natural resources. Greenland possesses rich deposits of critical rare earths, zinc, uranium for high tech and military applications. Military applications. All right? And China seeks to secure these vital supplies. Strategic location. As Arctic ice melts, new shipping routes open, making Greenland important for China's Polar Silk Road, ambitious to connect Asia and Europe. Economic development. Greenland seeks foreign investment for its economy, seeing China as a potential partner for infrastructure and mining projects, although many have stalled. All right. All right, let's see. And like I said, it goes on to say, y'all, look, search this up. Does China want Greenland? That's all you have to search. And then you'll see the AI overview. And like I said, all you have to do is just read the articles that's attached to that. All right. Now, does Russia want Greenland? Let's see. All right, let's search and give it a second. Hold on. So it says as of January 2026, Russia officially denies any intent to occupy or take control of Greenland, while Moscow has long-term strategic interests in the Arctic. Its current focus on Greenland is primarily as a geopolitical observer of tensions between the United States and its European allies. Okay. All right, so official denials. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, if I pronounce his name right, these are Russian names, and other officials have explicitly stated that Russia has no interest in Greenland's affairs and no plans to take control of the island, dismissing such claims as extraordinary or baseless. But the war in Ukraine is not ended, so yeah, it's a lot going on with that. NATO has a lot to do with that. NATO has a lot to do with that war that's taking place in Ukraine. And I already said, it's like February is fastly approaching. It's going to be 4 years ever since this war has started. I mean, this war started back in 2014. But what I mean is, for it to start back, there's always been tensions between Russia and Ukraine. But it actually started back in 2022. Okay. So, all right, there was another question. What are Russia's key interests in the Arctic? Okay, so Russia's key interests in the Arctic are primarily centered on economic development through resource extraction and control over the northern sea route, and enhancing its national security through a significant military presence. Okay? So same thing, natural resources, natural gas, as well as a significant deposit of minerals, rare earth metals, gold, and diamonds. Extraction of these resources, especially hydrocarbons, is a primary industry accounting for a large percentage of Russia's GDP and exports. All right. Let's see. So they did talk about a trade route. All right. Russia views the NSR as a national unified transportation line and a potentially globally competitive trade route between Europe and Asia. Climate change is making the route more accessible, as I just said earlier. We're going to go back to that video too. Year-round, shortening transit times significantly compared to the Suez Canal. Moscow's investing heavily in port infrastructure and a large fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers to control and profit from this route. Okay. And then it goes on to say Russia aims to ensure high living standards and prosperity for the nearly 2.5 million of its citizens living in the Arctic region through infrastructure, development, and economic incentives to attract and retain skilled labor. Okay, military and geopolitical interests. That's what we just read earlier. With China, with Russia. So it goes on to explain what the geopolitical interests in militaries. Russia has invested in a substantial military presence in the Arctic to protect its economic assets and project power. Project power, okay? Project power. What's Trump doing now? He's projecting his power. I told y'all, this is psychological warfare. It's not physical yet, but it's psychological. All right? I really don't have to go y'all can read, like I said, dude, just search your keywords. All right, what was this question that that was the next question after the one I searched. What are Russia's key interests in the Arctic? Just search that up. Search what I just searched up, which was, does Russia want Greenland? And then, you can do AI mode, AI overview. You can just read the articles. I'm just giving y'all giving y'all ideas of what to do the research, because like I said, I'm not going to do a long drawn out live and then some things I'm just going to basically be repeating myself on, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, let's go ahead and go back to the video. Let me see if y'all can see it, because I know I have to keep holding the computer up, but let me see. Hold on. See if I can position it that way so that way y'all can see it. All right, let me put it full screen.
And as the climate changes, so does its strategy. What happens in the Arctic does not stay in the Arctic.
There are things happening in the Arctic now that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago.
This is the region warming faster than anywhere else on Earth. And as the climate changes, so does its strategic importance.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security.
Okay, what did I just search earlier? I know I keep pausing. What does Russia want? They want national security too, all right? Hold on. We getting somewhere with this. Hold on. What does it say? Hold on, it's loading. Russia's key interests in the Arctic are primarily centered on economic development through resource extraction and control over the northern sea route, and enhancing its national security through a significant military presence. This goes the same for both China and Russia. but this is Russia. But also in China, it's the same thing. They're allies. All right, let's go back to the video.
Major powers are turning their eyes north, looking for resources, new routes through the ice, and a way to strengthen their position on the global stage.
A lot of countries have come out with Arctic strategies. It's part of how the international order is being challenged.
Here are 5 reasons why the Arctic has become one of the world's most hotly contested regions. To understand this, we need to look at the world in a different way. Far from just a frozen ocean, 8 countries have territory in the Arctic Circle. The United States, Canada, Greenland, which is a semi-autonomous part of Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. During the Cold War between the US and Soviet Union, going over the pole was a potential route for missile strikes. Both countries expanded their military operations, with the US establishing a base in the north of Greenland. But in 1987, with the Cold War coming to an end, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev proposed the scaling down of military activity in the Arctic.
What Gorbachev was trying to articulate was a vision where the Arctic parties would focus on areas where they could find common cause.
In the years that followed, the 8 Arctic nations formed the Arctic Council and agreed to work together on research and environmental protection. Arctic and non-Arctic states opened research bases, with countries like China, India, and South Korea investigating how the region impacts weather patterns thousands of kilometers away in Asia.
The Arctic has had this reputation of being sort of an exceptional place of peace and cooperation. That narrative continued until Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Do not pay your next car
Now,
insurance
hold
bill.
on. There's an ad. There's an ad. Hold on. All right, here we go.
In 2022, Russia reopened the Cold War's fault lines. Within months, Finland and Sweden applied to join NATO.
Exactly. As soon as the war got started, that's when Russia, when the war had started back in 2022, that's when you had other nations joining NATO. Finland, Sweden, right?
Western Military Alliance. The Arctic map became Russia on one side and NATO members on the other.
See?
The border
See?
between-
See? See? Do you see why? Do you see why? Do you see what? You see why? Do you see? You see? All right, hold on. Let rewind this.
Joined NATO, the Western Military Alliance. The Arctic map became Russia on one side and NATO members on the other.
NATO members on the other. Which of this? You see this? That's all of Russia. This is NATO. Isn't Greenland included in that too? Isn't NATO? Is it Greenland included in this side right here? Finland and Sweden joined NATO back in 2022 as a result of Russia invading Ukraine.
Border between Norway,
See?
Finland, and Russia is effectively a front line for Russia and NATO.
The Arctic saw direct conflict when a Russian airbase in the Arctic Circle was attacked by Ukrainian drones. The region is critical to Russia's military. Most of its nuclear capability is based there.
Я подчеркну, Россия никогда никому не угрожала в Арктике. Но мы внимательно следим за развитием ситуации. Выстраиваем адекватную линию реагирования.
Russia has reopened dozens of Soviet-era bases and used Arctic waters to test hypersonic cruise missiles. Russian and American fighter jets have come into close proximity in the skies near Alaska. The West is also expanding its Arctic presence. 2024 saw NATO's biggest drills in the region since the Cold War. The US Army has reactivated a specialized Arctic force in Alaska, and President Trump has proposed something bolder.
We need Greenland for national security and international security, so I think we'll go as far as we have to go. We need Greenland. And the world needs us to have Greenland.
The US still has a military base in Greenland, and the response to Mr. Trump's suggestion was clear.
Jamen, Grønland er grønlændernes, og Grønland er en del af det danske kongerige, og det kommer ikke til at ændre sig.
Polls suggest most Greenlanders don't want to be part of the US. The majority want to be independent.
Which is understandable. I understand. We understand. We don't want other countries to be taken over and ruin a country that already gained its independence, and it's a part of another country. You know, Denmark. That's Denmark's territory. Just understandable.
For Donald Trump, a strong presence in the Arctic is key to countering the partnership between Russia and China, which the two countries describe as a friendship without limits.
You don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen.
Russian and Chinese Coast Guard ships have carried out joint patrols in the Arctic Ocean, and bombers from both countries have flown together near Alaska.
Near Alaska. Near Alaska. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right.
That we've seen these two countries fly together like that.
The worry is that some of those drills, exercises, patrols might generate a risky escalation, a miscalculation.
China says its actions are about deepening cooperation with Russia and aren't aimed at third parties. However, this relationship has tensions of its own.
There's been a danger that Russia's fully aware of, is that the more and more it collaborates with China, the more it's giving China legitimacy to act as a very powerful near-Arctic state.
China describes itself as a near-Arctic state, despite being 1,400 kilometers from the Arctic Circle. In 2018, it launched a range of investment projects it called the Polar Silk Road, but it's hit roadblocks in communities wary of being over-reliant on China.
There want to be
Okay, so I just read that earlier. The Polar Silk Road. I just read that earlier. So pretty much this video right here, this documentary that has been cut into 9 minutes,